Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we are looking at Paga Gratiev's or Graftez personal walker, and this is a walker that was used by uh, the Devisors, something like that. Um, in the book that I have, this is just considered as a personal walker. Looking at the picture that we have here, which is the same one that I have in the book, it looks to be of a fairly large size. Large enough that obviously we have a full cockpit in there, as well as a blaster cannon of some sort in the front. So, characteristics like much of Exercon's technology, it was designed that it had been obsolete for decades in much of the galaxy. However, despite its appearance, it was armed with a powerful blaster cannon, a type of technology that the devisers had forbade the population of the planet to possess. History. During the invasion of the Ministry of Technology in 8 ABY, Pagda Gevtez used the personal walker to engage New Republic forces attempting to rescue Captain Kaya. Uh, I'm going to butcher this name. I'm so sorry. Emeritum. Uh, Gevtez was temporarily blinded by a flash pistol, and the walker was lured into the stairwell. Gevtez failed to negotiate the stairwell, and the walker rolled down it, crashing at the bottom of the trapped, uh, at the bottom and trapping the Devisor. Appearances: this is the Masters of Exocon, the Kothal Outback, which is also noted in the book. So there's not a lot here, but it is an interesting take because when we look at the limited ability of pictures that we have, this looks very much to be on scale with a lot of the other mecha that we typically think of, fairly large and the like, maybe 2, 3 stories tall or taller. So let's get into our stats and see what we have in the D6 universe. All right, so this is a Walker scale. Has a crew member of one. Cargo capacity is 10 kilograms, which is a little lower than what we typically see in a lot of the vehicles. It is a full coverage. We do have a maneuverability of 2D. Now, this does not go very fast, but it does have a speed of 60 kilogram or kilometers an hour. Kilograms. Obviously, I'm not thinking very well this morning. I do apologize. It does have a body strength of 1D plus 2. The weapons on board is a standard blaster cannon. This is a vehicle blaster skill, so I'm going to guess it's a vehicle or speeder scale. Um, Actually, no, not necessarily. It doesn't say that it's a different scale, so it would be a Walker scale. Fire control is 1D, and damage is 4D. We also have a concussion grenade launcher. This is forward firing, much like the blaster cannon above. Has a fire control of 1D and a damage of 2D. So I'm going to say yes, it does have some damage, uh, that it can do. Maybe it's something a little bit. Well, I mean, for the area that this was designed to operate, they weren't supposed to have the latest and greatest in weaponry and the like. So I guess it does make some sense here. But again, I do want to point out just the size of the vehicle that we're looking at. Now, maybe it's just how I'm picturing it. It looks like this is kind of hunched over, has some fairly good feet here to keep it supported and upright. Um, Being in the background, this looks easily to be almost 3 stories tall. So, if you're listening to my BattleTech uh, videos and that, this would put it on the same terms of, say, like a locust or a flea or something in that neighborhood. So it's nice to see the overlap, and there have always been huge overlaps with Star Wars and Star Trek and a lot of the other sci-fi of the time. Um, I know in one of the other videos, somebody had mentioned that the Marauder Corvette looks like it is from a toy from something else. There was so much borrowing from the science fiction community from one genre to another, especially in the expanded universes, much like the personal walker. The Marauder Corvette is another great example of that. Just thinking of what we have from Macross, which had the Veritex. Um, Battletech itself had license from the original corporation, but then there was a lawsuit, which you know is just what it was. They had borrowed the same mecha in that law or in that same negotiation, which then they had to kind of get away from. But we also saw the same designs coming into uh, Transformers, and God only knows what other media or franchises it had kind of tiptoed in a little bit here and there, but it wasn't maybe as big and popular in my own circle. But somebody else knows very well what it all is. So there's a lot of sharing in the same communities of different things, and this being very much like that. Now, it's not a direct copy of something else, but is a shared idea, bringing all this stuff in together. And I've said many times before, I would love to have all the science fiction just crammed together, one nice galaxy, and have a lot of fun and silliness with it all. So, with that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. Thank you for listening to my extra ranting on some of this. Um, I know some people get a little frustrated because some of this stuff does seem like it's just kind of rehashed from something else or whatever else. And yeah, I can see their point, and I'm not going to argue against it. But it is just some of the stuff from the expanded universe that we get, whether it's in Star Wars here, some of the extended universe, some of the extra ships that we don't typically get to see in the canon of Star Trek, and all the stuff that we get in BattleTech, and even ideas that later come in on GI Joe because they get mecha later on in some of their series. And I do have a couple toys from that because that is always something that's interested me. Um, so we just go from there. So with that, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.